There's a career in Star Citizen that CIG designed in obsessive detail now over a decade ago, and then they never built. I'll bet most of you don't even know the full design exists. I'm going to walk you through it, and by the end I think you're going to understand why CIG won't publicly admit the real reason it's still just a document, because it's probably not what you think. CIG published a full design document for civilian passenger transport back in 2015, alongside the Genesis Starliner concept sale, and it reads like a pitch for a standalone game. It was called Design Notes Civilian Passenger Transport, and they backed it up with 2 separate Q&A posts during the concept sale for the Starliner. All 3 documents are still live on the RSI website as of publishing this video. What's great about this is I'm not speculating from rumors here, as most Star Citizen content tends to do. This is what CIG told us they were building for this profession, in their own words, and it's still public to view. So here's the pitch, and stay with me because it's going to escalate and escalate. You'd need a clean criminal record and a license to operate your transport business. Think going to Terra or Lorville to handle the bureaucracy part of it. After that, you park your ship on a public landing pad specifically dedicated to transit gameplay and connect to something called the Flight Schedule Computer. This thing pulls up real-time passenger traffic data for your location. The terminal can show you where people want to go, how much demand there is on each route, all of it right there. Based on that, you pick your destination, set ticket prices for each class of seating that your ship offers, then you'll choose a departure time and estimated arrival, and finally publish the flight. From that moment, NPC and players can see your flight and start buying tickets. You'll be watching the sales come in live and adjusting prices on unsold seats whenever you want. They were designing dynamic pricing for spaceship seats back in 2015. Now that's exactly what our real-life airline carriers are doing in real time. CIG put more thought into this ticket system than most games put into their entire economy. There are up to 4 classes of passenger service depending on what your ship has available: coach, business class, first class, and luxury. The Genesis Starliner was initially sold as the flagship of the whole system. All 4 classes: private sleeping cabins, fuel-efficient engines, a quantum stabilizer specifically designed to reduce vibration, induce nausea in passengers, and 40 seats in the stock configuration. But the twist was the whole interior of the ship was supposed to be modular. You could customize your interior setup and build your own business model around it. All of that happens before you even take off. The actual flight is where this thing goes from impressive to completely insane. Everything about this system is designed to make passengers happier than they'd be on a real flight. Take drinks, for example. Design calls for your passengers to order them during the trip, and you or your crew physically walk to a drink-making station and make them by hand. The quality of the drink varies on how well you mix them, because of course it does. Like everything physicalized in Star Citizen, your ship has limited supplies, so you can't just keep wasting ingredients for making drinks over and over if you botch one. In the design doc, coach passengers might not complain too much about slow service or a mediocre cocktail, but business class and above absolutely will. They'll demand excellent service and will tank your reputation if you disappoint them. If you're new to the channel and you're enjoying this level of detail, I'm Captain Katarn. I make long-form videos on Star Citizen, and I try to cover topics no one else is covering, so if that sounds like your thing, join the crew and stick around. To this point, if you're thinking, that's it? Well, don't worry, it goes way deeper. Your passengers can actually start getting sick. And I'm not kidding, CIG designed a full medical emergency system for passenger flights. Your ship has a medical cabinet with diagnostic tools and multiple treatments. It's your crew's job to figure out what's wrong and prescribe the correct treatment. Get the diagnosis wrong and the passenger gets worse. Get it really wrong, and they die on your ship, which is a complete disaster. That's more medical gameplay than we currently have, which honestly is a low bar. I personally loathe the cure everything medbeds that we have right now, and I'm hoping the passenger transport is part of an eventual medical gameplay expansion that makes diagnosis and treatment really matter. The design even accounts for cabin dynamics that modern airlines deal with. CIG designed 2 ways for problems to spread through the cabin: airborne illness, where disease transmits between passengers, and a fear mechanic, where healthy passengers near somebody visibly sick start panicking. If they see a sick person, their satisfaction drops the entire time, and then if enough of the cabin is scared or sick, the whole situation cascades. If you botch it badly enough, your transport license can even get suspended for gross incompetence, and that's pretty cool. It gets deeper still. In the design doc, you could hire NPC flight attendants at recruiting stations and landing zone cities. They'd stay on your payroll, handle drink service, manage passenger concerns, and assist with medical situations while you focus on flying the ship. Or you can bring your friends and divide the work however you want. The Q&A confirmed the whole thing was designed to work solo, but obviously a crew makes the experience richer, and the job more manageable when your cabin is full of sick, angry passengers demanding better cocktails. I can just imagine the role-playing videos that could come out of that. Think ER Stanton with a crew full of regulars. To achieve all of this, modularity was the glue that would make this profession work. In the years since, we've seen modularity come into the game in ways that are finally lining up with earlier promises, and the Aurora Mark II with its HUD-swappable modularity gives me hope this is maybe actually achievable. But based on the concept sale, the Genesis frame was designed for way more. The Q&A describes racing teams using the modular interior to store and repair small ships, military variants including troop transports, patrol ships, and command platforms. And in Star Citizen's lore itself, even the sitting Imperator of the UEE flies in a custom Genesis. And look, I know some of you are watching this thinking, who the hell would want to do any of that? And I get it. Mixing drinks and diagnosing sick passengers might not sound like the space fantasy you signed up for. But I learned a long time ago that the gameplay that you think is boring is somebody else's entire reason to log in. In Star Wars Galaxies, the scout profession had something called camping XP. The only way to earn it was to sit in player-placed camps together as a group. Seriously, just sitting there. The developer eventually removed it, and the community lost their minds in their forums. A dev went on the forum, generally confused, and asked, "So you just sat around in camps and you liked it?" And the player said yes, because the camping was never the point. In a time before Discord, before easy voice chat, sitting around a campfire talking to your group through the in-game chat was how you socialized. That was the game for those people. Passenger transport is the same idea. The drink mixing and the medical emergencies aren't the point. The point is running a ship with your friends, solving problems together, building something that has your name on it. The mechanics are just an excuse to share the experience. There's even competing NPC airlines like Meridian Transport with their own published flights. CIG confirmed that you could skip the entrepreneurial ship entirely and just work as a hired pilot for one of those NPC companies, drawing salary that's scaled with performance. Fly well, you'll get more shifts. Fly poorly, they stop calling you. I was in my 30s when I backed Star Citizen, and that wouldn't have appealed to me. Now that I'm in my 40s, doing piloting work seems pretty chill. It's funny, I'm at the age now that Chris was when he started Star Citizen, so his vision is finally starting to make sense to me. So maybe all of that sounds incredible, right? Depending on what you enjoy doing, that may be the best designed career in the game. So why hasn't any of it been built? CIG's public answer is that they're waiting on supporting systems. Advanced passenger docking areas, NPC behaviors that can support the design, all of that. We haven't seen passenger ships outside the Constellation Phoenix because CIG stopped adding ships that don't have their gameplay ready to go. And I support that decision, especially every time I look at my damn Mercury Star Runner and sigh. But that's not the real answer. I promised you we'd get into this at the beginning of the video. I'm confident the actual reason this career doesn't exist is something CIG doesn't want to publicly address. NPC passengers are an engineering nightmare. Bring up the NPCs in this game and people immediately think of the ones that stand on chairs and T-pose. I haven't seen that in a while, so it's a real improvement, and for the most part I've seen smooth NPCs even during this latest free fly. That's progress, I guess. I'm even willing to admit that NPCs are getting so dangerous I've been flanked and killed running FPS missions solo when NPCs catch me in the open. But passenger transport is a completely different problem than combat AI. Let me walk you through what has to happen for one trip to work. A single NPC decides that they want to travel. They find your published flight, they walk to whatever landing pad you're parked on, they board your ship through a ramp or doorway that's angled differently every single time depending on how you decided to park. They navigate a ship interior they've never been inside before, especially if you modified it using the modularity options. They find an empty seat that they've specifically been assigned to. They also have to sit down without clipping through any of it. They'll have to stay seated during quantum travel without sliding across the floor or falling out of the ship. And then on arrival, they have to stand up, navigate back through the ship, walk down the ramp, and continue to wherever they're actually going. Now, do that 40 times simultaneously on a Starliner. And that's just one person spawning 40 plus NPCs for the server to track and manage. Scale that out across every Starliner in the server, and you'll see the problem quickly. It's the same problem that I think might make NPC crew impossible. It's the resource overhead. That's not a fun thing to say on a live stream when people have been holding $400 Starliner pledges for years. Jared's been doing a better job of not saying the quiet part out loud for a while now, so no reason to stop here. But I actually have hope on this one, and here's why. The transit system rework is solving a simplified version of this exact problem right now. We're focused on testing the player experience, and with both tests we've had in Evo Cati, there's been real progress on the issues in the game. But I have a feeling the transit rework isn't just going to be player transportation in shuttles and elevators. Being hooked into the server meshing means that NPCs can be transferred between server boundaries just like players and ship entities. Think about that. If transit is built with pathfinding and reliability in mind, it lets NPCs arrive at a stop, board a shuttle, ride it, and exit at their destination. Fixed interior, fixed seats, fixed route. If CIG gets that working reliably, and they're making real progress on it, it would seem, then that's the foundation passenger transport needs. So let's say the tech gets there. What does passenger transport actually look like in Star Citizen that we're playing right now? Not the 2025 version designed for a game that was still a slideshow. Something built for 4.7, 4.8, and beyond. Star Citizen has always needed more non-compact gameplay, and this career plugs directly into the economy that's already taking shape. If you watched my video on credits not mattering anymore, you know where I stand on this. Star Citizen is building an economy where every role feeds every other role. Passenger transport fits that perfectly. At this point, I don't know if or when we'll even see it in the game. Transport gameplay was on the 1.0 presentation, but we don't know what that really means, and I expect that we'll see significant changes to the original design by the time it's implemented. But the pieces are converging. Chris keeps saying in interviews that Star Citizen should release by the end of 2027. While that's optimistic, at least I'm seeing the progress with these patches that show me it's totally possible. It's entirely possible they drop this design on us with minimal warning in the next 6 months. And that would be just fine with me. I don't know about you, but I'd really like to file my first flight plan before I'm old enough to need the luxury cabin myself. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you in the verse.